Here are 6 knots you should know before coming to your first certification class. Hi, my name is Captain Finn with the Sailing Academy. We're going to briefly go through a list of 6 knots that you should at least be well acquainted with, or at least run through and get the basic theory of how to tie them. It's going to make things a whole lot easier for you when it comes to test day. So first up, we have the Cleat Hitch, which is affectionately known as the knot by which you will be judged. It is very important to be able to tie a proper, safe cleat hitch, because if you don't, that means your boat might be able to slip away from the dock, causing other damage to other boats, your own boat, your own safety. So we want to make sure that the cleat hitch is masterfully done. So let's go ahead and get started with this one. I'm going to go ahead and untie it here. Try to do this in view where my hand isn't blocking it the whole time. But we want to make sure we go to the opposite end of where the load is coming from. So if the load's coming from my left hand here, I'm going to go to the opposite horn of the cleat. So the farthest horn from the load. So if my load is coming from this direction right here, I'm going to go right there. Okay, so opposite horn or outside horn. Full wrap around the base, loop around, and now I'm going to make an inward loop and rest it over that outer horn like that. And when I tighten this down, if I can pull this a little closer, you're going to notice there's going to be 2 rivers under one bridge. So 2 rivers under one bridge. It's nice and neat. Doesn't take up a lot of room on the cleat. So if we need to double tie a cleat for spring lines or something like that, we're able to do so. Again, if we want to quickly run through this, opposite end of where the load's coming from, full wrap around the base, over top, and now since I'm ending on this side, I'm going to loop under here, loop over it, and pull, where I have 2 rivers under one bridge, and now I have my cleat knot. For our clove hitch, let's say this is our lifeline right here, and then we want to tie a fender. It's not going to fit in frame, so I'm just going to push it over to the side here, but we want to tie a fender off to the lifeline. So you can start and you can go either side. It's a very symmetrical knot, but we want to be consistent in the way we tie it. So I'm going to go over, I'm just going to loop around. When I do that, I don't like to leave a lot of space in my loop, so I like to close that off. So now I'm going to build a bridge over my river. So let's say this is our river, bridge over the river. I'm going to take my boat right here and follow the bridge, or follow the river underneath the bridge like that, and pull tight. Now I have my clove hitch. It's a temporary knot, so I'm not going to use it to tie a boat to a dock or anything, other than a temporary tie. It's a little different way of tying it as well if we're going to do that. But for hanging fenders over the side, storing lines when they're not in use, this is perfect for that. We can also modify it a little bit if we want to make it more of a slip knot or make it able to come undone quickly. I go over, instead of putting the end through, I just double it over on itself, kind of like that. And that will hold temporarily. So now when I'm ready to go, I can just pull that, comes right undone. So again, for the clove hitch, I go around, make a loop, build a bridge over my river, and then take my boat and follow the river under the bridge, making my clove hitch. Now, so our round turn 2/2 hitch. This is for tying to a ring on a dock or a piling. There's a few other uses for it, but that's our kind of textbook answer. So we want to take our line and we want to do a round turn all the way around the post, piling, or ring on the dock. And then I'm going to go through and make a 1/2 hitch right here. And then the same direction, I'm going to go around and make another 1/2 hitch. So it's that clove hitch that we just tied basically, but it's over itself. It goes around the piling or the object that we're tying around, and then we go basically tie a clove hitch over the same line. And that makes our round turn 2/2 hitch. And that'll continue to cinch up on itself, making a really tight locking knot. And that's perfect for going around a piling and when we're docking our boat. So what's also really important about this knot is it puts more surface area around the line, around the piling. And this also really helps reduce chafing and line snapping through. Because if we were to do a bowline sometimes around a higher friction area, let's say we tie our bowline, which is coming up next. I have another loop in this line that I forgot to untie. But if I'm going back and forth, there's less surface area, so there's more room to chafe. So that's one reason why we like to use, especially on rings on a dock, we like to use the round turn 2/2 hitch because there's less chance of it chafing through. For the reef knot, joining two lines of equal diameter, we are going to go ahead and, again, it's going to be a very symmetrical knot. So it's going to be left over right, and then right over left. Once I pull a little bit more space through here. So right over left, just like that. When we're done, it's going to kind of look like a square, and both bitter ends are going to be out on the same side, or the same side of the knot this way. And that's going to load down on itself fairly nicely, as long as it's the same diameter line and the same weave, the same braid method of line as well. That's something to take into account. For different size lines, there are different knots that we use. This is not one of them, and that's going to be in a future video. The figure 8 knot. This is an extremely important little knot on the boat. This is going to stop your sheets or halyards from running through your blocks, or different fair leads or stuff on the boat that it shouldn't be running through. It's hence the stopper knot. It's going to stop it from running. Okay, so to tie your figure 8 knot, give myself a little bit more room here without bumping the camera. Go ahead and untie this. You'll come to your bitter end, and I'm just going to make a bite in the line or a little loop, or I'll make a fish. So we take our fish, we wrap our fish in a blanket, and then we feed our fish through the eye right here. And that makes our figure 8. All I'm doing is putting one twist in the line and going through the eye of the knot right here, and that makes our figure 8 knot. Now we're going to go ahead and tie the bowline. It's spelled Bowline, but it's pronounced Bowline. This is one of the most important, I would almost say, one of the most important knots that you can know as a sailor. You can modify this knot to use it for many different things in docking and just overall seamanship. So, but one of the main things we're going to use this, the textbook answer for our purposes, it's going to be used for tying a jib sheet to the clew of a sail, or the clew of a jib sail, for trimming our jib. So how we tie the bowline, we untie it by breaking the back of the knot here. Okay, so again, we come to our bitter end right here and give ourselves some room. I will kind of put my palm out in front of me, the bulk of my line out in front of my hand. I'm going to wrap around the tip of my fingers right here, pull my fingers out. Now I have a little loop. So the bitter end right here, the bitter end side is on top. That's important. I'm going to go ahead and make this loop pretty small. I'm going to put it between my middle finger and my thumb. I'm going to have my pointer finger kind of holding this up, and we have our rabbit hole, we have our tree, and we have our rabbit, or bitter end right here. So the rabbit comes up through the hole. One thing I want to refrain from doing when I'm at this stage is pulling the loop all the way through. I don't want to do that. That's going to confuse me, and I'm going to end up with a lopsided knot. So the rabbit goes up through the hole around the back of the tree like that. And it's going to go back into the hole right beside itself right here. Just like that. Now, once I get a little bit more line through, to tighten this and load this knot down, I'm going to go ahead and grab the rabbit, both ends, where before and after it comes out of the hole, and the tree. I'm going to pull those three at the same time. That's how I load my bowline. I want to make sure I have a couple inches here of tail right here. That's very important when I'm loading this knot down. So this is the strongest knot other than a splice, and is also an anti-seizing knot. So if you need to untie it, you take it off of load, come to the back of the knot, break the back of the knot, and it comes undone just like that. Okay, again, for tying a bowline, come to the bitter end. I like to wrap it around the back of my hand like that. Make that eye nice and small. The rabbit comes up through the hole like that, around the back of the tree, and back into the hole again like so. And then to load this knot down, we're going to go ahead and grab the rabbit in both ends right here in the tree and pull just like that. And that is our bowline. So those are the 6 basic knots that we use in our teaching syllabus. So hopefully that is helpful and you found this video useful. Go ahead and like, subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you in the classroom.